As freelancers and photographers, videographers, artists in general, we tend to feel like we don't make a lot of money from our work. After all is said and done, after we're done with the project, how much money is left over? And this video is about why charging hourly may be the reason for that problem. Hey, it's TJ here with the Camera Hacks, bringing you the best resources and tools to help you grow as a filmmaker or photographer. Today, we're going to talk about a few things that are going to help you as a freelancer. And if this video helps you at all, let me know in the comments below. You can also like this video and share to anyone who you may think will help as well. Also, I respond to comments. So if you have a question or you have something that you want to talk about, maybe it's a different topic, let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure to get back to you. And make sure you subscribe, because if I do create that video, you want to make sure you get notifications and you're there to see it. So in this video, we're going to talk about why a lot of photographers and videographers struggle and why a lot of us aren't getting paid what we're worth. There are so many reasons, but today I'm going to talk about a few, and stay to the end so you can see what I would suggest to do about it. Pricing by the hour is probably one of the worst mistakes that a freelancer can make. Pricing by the hour does have its place. There's plenty of places where you kind of need to charge by the hour, but for the most part, we should be charging by the project. And there are two main reasons why this puts you at a disadvantage. First, there's only so many amount of hours in a day. There's only 8 hours that people typically work during the day. There's another 8 hours that people are sleeping. This kind of caps you out on how much you can earn in a particular day. Let's say I have a job and I want to have that job for 8 hours. Let's say the client does hire me for 8 hours and I charge $150 per hour. The max that I can earn from that day is $1,200 in that day. And if I raise the prices, of course I can make a little bit more, but I'm still capped at how many hours there are available in that day. Now let's say the client only needs me for 3 hours. I've just spent the whole day preparing for this gig and I've only made 3 hours worth of work. What is that? 3 times 150? That's not a lot of money. And it's not a lot of money for me to actually make a living off of. Charging by the hour does something to you as a photographer too, or a videographer. And if you are charging by the hour, you are typically trying to do the least amount of work in the hour that you have. I mean, just naturally, that's what we do, because we know that the more hours that I work, the more money that I get. If I waste a little bit of time in an hour, no biggie. I can get, a little bit more money from this job if I work 8 hours instead of 3. The biggest problem with that is just that it just causes you to waste time. And time is the most valuable thing that you have. The next reason is that your client's response to this hourly wage that you present to them may differ. Some people may like that hourly wage and some people may not really understand why it's so much. Now let's say I have a job where someone wants me to produce a commercial product video for whatever product they have, and I can present a price to them in 2 ways. The first price I can present to them and say, hey, okay, you want me to produce a commercial product photography? Okay, it's going to be $500 to produce the video and we can get started as soon as possible. The next way that you can present this is, okay, so you need me to produce a product photography video? Okay, so it's going to take me about an hour to get that done. It's going to be about $500. Now, most clients are going to feel like the first option is better. Why? Just because they don't feel like you should be doing this work for an hour's time. So most clients are going to kind of look at the second option and say, so you're only going to work for an hour and I'm going to pay you $500. They may feel a couple of things about that. One is they may feel like that you are taking advantage of them. They may feel like that, hey, you're only working for an hour. Why are you charging me $500 for 1 hour? And they also may feel like your work is not going to be that great because you're only spending 1 hour's time on it. Like, what do you mean you're only going to spend an hour's time on? Like, this is my product video. I need to be really nice, and you're only going to spend an hour's time on it? Now, there's nothing wrong with producing that in an hour's time. The problem is that when you tell someone how long you spent on it, they have a different perception about how much work that you did, or how you did that work, or how good that work is. Let's say you spent 2 hours or 3 hours time. Would that video have been better because you spent that much time on it? That's debatable. Most clients want to leave with the perception that they are getting a good deal. And a lot of times when you put in a time or a time limit, they take the time as what is the perceived value. Oh, you're going to work 10 hours on this? Okay, that's worth it. Another thing we do wrong as freelancers is we don't raise our prices. A lot of times we make assumptions about what our clients feel about our prices. And we don't raise our prices because we feel like, hey, if I raise my prices, less people are going to give me work or less people are going to take my job. This is not necessarily a bad thing. Less people reaching out to you to do a job or less people accepting your rates is actually not a bad thing. This could be a way to narrow down the people who are actually down for your work and also who are willing to, pay whatever the price is to get you to do their work. The goal is not to work with as many people as possible. The goal is to work with your ideal client, people who are going to produce or give you the amount of money and give you the amount of resources you need to produce the type of work that you want to produce. And yes, you will have to compete with other people who are charging bottom dollar prices or bottom dollar rates. And this is not a problem at all. Most of the clients who decided to go with someone who was cheaper than me, a lot of times they regretted it. And many times they come back to me and they ask me to re-edit the video for them, which I'm not doing. So if you are charging by the hour, you are basically selling your time. You're selling your freedom for an hourly wage. The question is, how much is your hour worth? And a lot of us don't really sit down and think about that to the point where that, hourly rate is feasible for you. Is it something that you can live off of? With hourly work, we're only rewarded for the amount of time that we spend on a particular job. But if we were to flip that, so we were rewarded for how efficiently we work on a job, then you're in a better place. For instance, if I have a wedding gig and the goal is to produce a 3-minute highlight film, well, I may be able to get all the footage, capture all the shots that I need to produce a quality, great looking video for my client within 3 hours. And I don't really need to use the entire day or the entire 8 hours to produce that for my client. But if I told my client that I'll be there for 8 hours and they've paid for 8 hours, then the perceived value from the client is now how many hours that I work and not really the quality of work that I produce. So we don't want our clients to believe the value is in the amount of time that we work on a project. We want them to believe that the value is in the quality of the work that we create. So how do we change that? So first, don't charge by the hour. Instead of charging by the hour, price your projects by the scope of work. Charge by the particular job and how much it's going to cost for you to get that job done. Now you can totally build this out based off of an hourly wage, but you don't want to show your client what that hourly wage is. A lot of times I like to start with the amount that I like to take home from a job. After all is said and done, after all the expenses, how much would I like to take home from this gig? After you're finished paying all the expenses, after you paid your employees or people who have may have worked on the job, how much money are you taking home and putting in your pocket? That's the rate that I like to start at, and then I like to build things in around that. There's a number of ways that I like to price things, and I'll talk about that in another video. The next thing you can do is raise your prices. One of the easiest ways to raise your price is to divvy out the jobs that you do. If you are showing up to a shoot and you're the only one working there, let's say you're a photographer, you're the director, you're also the director of photography if you're using lighting and things like that. You're also the editor. When you take home everything, you come home and you spend hours editing. Now, if you divvy out all those different hats that you're working, how much would it cost you to pay 4 different people to do that job? And your rates should be based off of that. Well, for this job, I need to be a director. I also need to be a photographer, I also need to be a DP, and I also need to be an editor. Well, how much do I charge per hour to edit? How much do I charge per hour to DP? And how much do I charge per hour to be the photographer and the director? And that price all goes to you, but you have to treat yourself as a person who is taking on different jobs because that's what you're doing. And the last thing is just don't sell your freedom. And as a videographer, photographer, freelancer in general, the whole idea is to kind of have that freedom to be able to pick and choose the jobs that you want to do. The only way that you can do that is if you don't work for an hourly wage. You have to raise your prices, you have to do all of these different things to make sure that you're able to be compensated so that you know, once you're done with a job, you can live off of the wage that you worked for. So you have to become more efficient with your time. You have to become more efficient with the way that you create and produce these projects. And now your incentive is switched from working more hours, working more jobs, to getting more clients, to actually getting the right clients, getting the valuable clients, clients that are going to give you the amount of money that you need to produce the project, working more efficiently, doing less work, and doing less jobs. That's the ideal goal. It also may benefit you to find someone that can help you produce these projects. You may find people who can help you edit, who can help you produce the video, who can show up on the shoot and help you unload and load things, allowing you to be more efficient and spending less time on each job. Now, there's a ton of things that I would like to talk about regarding this subject, and one of the things is freelancer who works off of an hourly wage versus a freelancer who works off of a fixed wage. How can those different things help you? And also, is there a hybrid method? Like, is there a way that you can work a little bit hourly and also a little bit on a fixed wage? So I would like to dive into this a little bit deeper. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.